In this video, we are creating Ash's ultimate legendary team in Pokemon. I'm going to be looking at all of the legendary Pokemon he shared experience with and picking out the ones with the best potential for Ash's ultimate team. I will create a full squad of 6 Pokemon, each having good enough strength and capability to work together as a group. Now, if you're wondering why I want to create the ultimate legendary team for Ash, we have to go back to the very end of Pokemon Journeys. In these last episodes, we of course see Ash finally becoming the closest thing to a Pokemon Master. However, Ash still feels challenged by the idea of becoming friends with every Pokemon in the world. In order for Ash to continue that goal of becoming a Pokemon Master, he needs a really good team. And not just any regular ultimate team, an ultimate legendary team. Let's start with the legendary Pokemon Ash met in the Kanto region. Ash has been with all 4 legendary Pokemon while traveling through Kanto. While Ash did meet Mew, I'm only counting official legendary Pokemon. Now I will have to determine which legendaries are the strongest and closest to Ash from this region, so let's start with the best from this group. To determine which are the best for Ash, we're going to look at how well they bonded with him throughout his journey and their general strength. For example, if they battled alongside Ash like Zacian or Solgaleo, then that would give them a big advantage over Pokemon that he only met up with. I think the best and only choice here is Mewtwo. Not only have Ash and Mewtwo met a handful of times, but out of all the options here, Mewtwo is most likely to be owned by Ash. Mewtwo literally saved Ash from his death during the first movie after Ash displayed to Mewtwo that humans care deeply for Pokemon, even to the point of risking their own lives for their sake. Not only did this change Mewtwo's perspective on humans, but later in the movie Mewtwo Returns, as Mewtwo returns, we see them fighting alongside one another. Mewtwo fights the Pokemon Hunters, Ash distracts them and frees the captured Pokemon, ultimately gaining the respect of Mewtwo once more. Moving on to the Johto region legendaries. First off, I'm saving Suicune since Ash encountered it numerous times while on his journey, even being able to ride it during the Celebi movie. I don't know, I always thought Suicune was special, like it was meant for Ash. Yet, is that statement still true now that Go caught Suicune in Journeys? I mean, yes, but I still think Suicune could be at least a possibility. A very possible one is Lugia, whom Ash encountered a ton way back during the Orange Islands. This is where he helped save a baby Lugia and bring it back to its mother, as well as in the Pokemon movie 2000, where again, Ash helps Lugia by restoring balance between 3 legendary birds. As said in the movie, Ash was a literal chosen one, so why can't Lugia be the chosen one for Ash? On top of all that Lugia action, we get to see it yet again in Pokemon Journeys during the 2nd episode, and in Go's last episode where they team up to fight Lugia in a raid battle. However, after a solid attempt, Lugia instead takes them for a ride around the world where they happen to see another legendary Pokemon in the midst of the clouds that just so happens to be Ho-Oh. And Ho-Oh is my 3rd pick here because, well, this was Ash's first legendary he got to see that ignited his love for Pokemon adventuring. At least that's my headcanon. And what makes this even more unique is that Ho didn't even exist back in Kanto. Well, technically the games did come out a year prior to the anime's debut, but still, a very crazy observation nonetheless. Ash and Ho even got a non-canon movie where they battled against each other. I think Ho 100% represents Ash in a more symbolic way, as Ash always spots it when something big is happening in his journey. For Hoenn, we got plenty more legendary Pokemon, but there's only one that was right for Ash, and that is of course Latias. This is in large part due to Latias befriending Ash in Pokemon Heroes, since, I mean, Latias literally transforms herself into a human to play around with Ash. And don't just think I'm including Latias because she kissed Ash at the end of the movie. First off, I'm not a Pokemon human shipper. If you want to know my honest opinion, there's a lot of proof that supports that wasn't even Latias anyway. It was a cover-up for a shy girl who drew a picture of Ash to kiss him, and Pokemon just didn't want to make it obvious. Anyways, another thing I found fitting was Latias even came back in Pokemon Journeys to look over Ash after he restored Latias back to full HP, as well as fighting alongside each other to defeat a Pokemon Hunter trying to steal the lattes. Sinnoh has a total of 13 legendaries, and Ash met all of them. But just like Hoenn, I'm only saving one. This is going to be Azelf, one of the 3 Lake Guardians that's referred as the Spirit of Willpower, perfectly aligning with Ash as he is just the embodiment of willpower. That's also probably why in the show Azelf specifically called upon Ash to help and not any other trainer. The sad part is, after Ash, Brock, and Dawn saved the day, Azelf along with the other 2 Lake Guardians dipped like it was nothing. So while he may not have gotten the opportunity then to catch them, he surely can now, especially since he's the champion of the world, but one can only guess at this point. In Unova, there's a few different mythicals that would be good, that being Meloetta and Victini. However, I'm not counting mythicals, just legendary Pokemon. So instead of choosing the obvious, I chose Zekrom. Why? because just like Cole, Zekrom also appears in the first episode of the series. And while you could say, oh, well, that's not that crazy, I think Zekrom had a deeper meaning for why it appeared in the first place, because I don't think Pokemon just randomly selects legendary number 644 to show up in this episode. Yes, was it part plot? Sure, Pikachu couldn't use his electric type moves because Zekrom for some reason zapped them so hard Ash lost all his prior knowledge and resets Pikachu's level, so that's why it lost to level 5 Snivy. But I think Zekrom is secretly the writer, since Ash was coming off his high from almost winning the Sinnoh League, beating Paul and forcing Pokemon to send in Hackerman 9000 to come in with his own legendary team to prevent Ash from winning. Pokemon chose the god of ideals, Zekrom, to come in and nerf Ash so hard all he could see was black and white. But if anything we know from Pokemon, it's not always black and white. But our hearts always know what's right, and my heart is saying Ash should catch this man who nerfed him. Kalos is the one region I don't think any legendaries really bonded with Ash really at all. Okay, that's not entirely true. Squishy technically adventured with them throughout the later half of the series, but under Bonnie's care, not Ash's. If anything, Zygarde is going to be owned by Bonnie, although there is two. Maybe Ash gets the second one. Probably not. He does have Ash Greninja though. That's pretty much as legendary as it gets. Sun and Moon definitely gave us the best legendaries for Ash, starting with Melmetal, who Ash already owns but is considered a mythical, not legendary, but I'll include it for funsies. Same with Naganadel and Ultra Beast, which is also considered a subclass of legendaries. However, the real candidates that I'm saving are some of the best in terms of compatibility, starting off with Tapu Koko, the Melee Island Guardian, who chose Ash in the very first episode, giving him his Z-Ring, challenging him throughout the series, constantly testing Ash as a trainer, as well as helping him out in bad situations. Tapu Koko even became his rival in the Pokemon League, being commanded by Professor Kukui, giving us one of the coolest battles in Pokemon. So for that, Tapu Koko is a no-brainer, unless you actually put into perspective that he might have to stay in Alola since Tapu Koko is the Melee Island Guardian and can't just not guard it. Lastly, we got everyone's favorite, who's so good people think Ash already owns this Mon, and it's Solgaleo, aka Nebby, who was in the care of Ash and friends for a large portion of the show. Similar to Squishy and XY, except it's Ash's little baby legendary. Once it evolved into a Solgaleo, Ash was even able to use it under his command for a period of time. So much so to the point where fans started wondering if he truly was going to catch Solgaleo, but Pokemon probably thought his Sun and Moon team would be way too OP or something. So they left Solgaleo on the back burner for later down the line, when Ash beats the Masters 8, then he'll go ahead and catch Solgaleo afterward, right? Well, he better, but I'll do Pokemon a favor and give him Solgaleo right now for free. We still have one series left to go over. I guess 2 regions, but we're going over Galar, aka Pokemon Journeys. There's not a whole lot of potential ones here, honestly, other than Zacian, who is saved, since Zacian was sort of fighting alongside Ash during the Darkest Day arc. While Zamazenta chose Go, Zacian chose Ash to lead into battle, but Ash didn't command Zacian or anything, it was more so a visual thing. However, Zacian I can definitely see fitting as one of his Pokemon. What about the Paldean region legendaries? Well, I've decided yes, I'll do them too. Now obviously, Ash hasn't gone to Paldea yet, but that isn't gonna stop me from picking out some cool legendaries. I only stumbled upon one that I liked. This one's a really good one, and it's of course, Koraidon. Let's be honest, do we really think Ash is gonna pull up in Paldea not riding a Koraidon? I mean, look at them together. It's like Romeo and Juliet. It's perfect. On a real note though, I think Koraidon's a solid pick. Even if we have no pre-existing data, Koraidon in the games is used primarily as a ride type Pokemon who, again, would fare well for Ash's traveling gig. Plus, it basically forms bonds with Trainer and eating sandwiches. You know who else loves to form bonds and eat a lot? Yup. It's Gary Oak.
No, it's Ash!
He is Koraidon's ideal trainer, and if anyone in the anime was to be shown with one 100 times out of 100, it's gonna be Ash. Now that we have all the Pokemon, we gotta actually put the teams together. Ash's ultimate legendary Pokemon team, that he was always destined to have, according to me of course. I'm gonna make 3 separate teams. The first will be the one that combines Ash's compatibility and power levels of each Pokemon into a synergetic, well thought out, beautifully executed group of pocket monsters. And starting off this beautifully executed group of pocket monsters, I've opted to go with Lugia, who's a strong psychic flying type that Ash had overall good relations with. Secondly is Ho-Oh, since it's just iconic, and it would be a shame if that didn't make his ultimate legendary team. a very strong Mon that represents the spirit and soul of Ash Ketchum. 3's got to be Tapu Koko. Again, this already feels like an Ash Pokemon. It's an electric type, so that sort of fits the role of Pikachu. Not that Ash would go anywhere without Pikachu, but for the sake of having a full legendary team, he's not going to be here. 4th, this is Ash's Pokemon, Solgaleo. He's like the equivalent of Team Rocket's Meowth. Jesse nor James actually owns Meowth, but we all assume Meowth is owned by them. Same with Solgaleo and Ash. And come on, it's crazy strong as well. 5thly, this might be a surprise, but I went with Zacian. I think Zacian works really neat for him. It's got that heroicism-like essence about it, plus having a fairy type will be crucial for the OP dragon type Pokemon he will inevitably have to face in his journeys. Last, but not least, in the 6th spot, we got Koraidon, a fighting dragon type who is going to be clutch for being able to travel anywhere. I'd say this is a really cool and unique, well-designed team for Ash, and my personal favorite legendary team I want him to use. Team 2 is Ash's most realistic team, the ones I think Ash will have the highest likelihood of actually catching or already owning. The first one for this team is Lugia again. We've seen Ash encountered so many times on so many different occasions, plus he's interacted with it a bunch. I think he's got a very high likelihood of catching Lugia at some point. Next, Latias. It may not be the most powerful, but definitely the most playful when it comes to the relationship between them on a personal level. And the fact that in Ash's last episode of the show, Ash was still left wondering what Latias was up to only makes me think he's gonna catch up to it again and likely catch it. 3 is Melmetal, the mythical legendary he already owns, and 4 is of course Naganadel. This is a given. 5 is Tapu Koko, probably the most arguably quote-unquote realistic legendary Pokemon Ash can get, as well, you can't really take it off Melemele Island unless Tapu Koko finds a replacement. But I'm selecting him for the same reason I'm selecting number 6, Solgaleo, because both these guys just spent so much time together throughout so many episodes, and the only reasons Ash couldn't get these guys was because of the plot. Nowadays, he doesn't have such restrictions because he's a free agent, no longer bound to the cruel Pokemon writers. Overall, this was the team I thought were the legendaries Ash most likely will own based on prior experiences and my extensive, lavish, expansive, comprehensive knowledge of the Pokemon anime. Team 3 is the best possible game logic team, according to ChatGPT, because I don't know how to make a good team with good type synergy. Trust me, I've tried. Everyone in the competitive space will agree with me. So what did this Clanka come up with, you ask? Well, it went with number 1, Suicune. Probably because it's just a water type. It's also decent for a competitive usage as well. For number 2, it went with Lugia. I mean, no brainer, right? I already added it onto Ash's last 2 teams. It said that this is the one, if nothing else works, send this out Pokemon, which low-key, they're probably not that wrong. For 3, they went with Zekrom, which I thought was a great choice for it just being able to throw out raw damage and cause chaos. 4 is Naganadel, probably for the typing coverage, and they said it's the fairy killer, which makes sense. Fairy types are very popular in comp, and poison is super effective against fairies. Solgaleo made it 5th. Likely because of its insane typing. Steel is a very good type in the games. It's Solgaleo, so it's gonna be super beefy anyway, and apparently it goes well with the last mod on this team. So for number 6, ChatGPT chose Zacian. I can't say I didn't expect this one, as Zacian has always been good, having very good typing and dishing out a ton of damage. What do you think, game players? Did ChatGPT cook with this team? Low-key, now I kind of want to test it out in Showdown. Now that we figured out what Ash's teams look like if he were to have a full team of legendaries, what would Ash's team look like if he were a gym leader? Well, I explained exactly that for every type in this video right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!